Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the afternoon sessions of the Open Data, Open Knowledge workshop. Hopefully the lunch was good and you're filled with good energy. We're about to start this afternoon session with a premiere. In fact, in GEO, we never had a full session on uncrewed vehicles. But we know that more and more it's a tool that is used in different applications. And for this, I'd like to invite Bente Liljaby from BLB from Norway. Bente, as you heard this morning, has been in GEO since the beginning, since 2005. So 2004, sorry. So, and Bente will guide and the speakers we are welcoming today on the uncrewed vehicles to see how this new or not so new technology can be integrated within geodata and knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bente.
So yes, I founded a company called BLB. We do research and consultancy. But before that, when I arrived in the GEO community was in 2004. I was a research director at the Norwegian Mapping Authority. So that's how I started on my planetary journey here. I say now for the topic of today, I normally describe myself as a nature-loving gadget geek. And what could be better than uncrewed vehicles, UAVs? Those are super exciting. Even more exciting is it that this is an untapped resource to a large extent for Earth observations. And this is what we are going to learn more about in this session. It is actually covering both from space and to the ground. And even some vehicles are, well, they are submarine and they are also digging into Earth. So it covers basically the whole area. We are not going to talk about all of them today, but you will get some tastes of it. But you can see that it's really a powerful new old instrument. So the question is, how can we get access to these data? Is there room for it in open knowledge and open data? This is some of the topics that we are going to cover, and hopefully discussions not only with the speakers. I also want to encourage you in the audience to think of questions so that we get an animated discussion about it. This is super exciting. So I will start to introduce and ask my speakers to enter the stage. So please, we will hear from 4 speakers today. And they are, they are as follows. We will start with Dr. Yue Huanjin from the Institute of Geographical Sciences and Natural Resources Research as Academy of China Institute. Then we move and we will hear again from Mario Vargas Caim from Indigenous Alliance and Ecuador. And then we will have Rabi Sahu from the Indian Agriculture Research Institute. And last but not least, we will have Daniele Ehrlich from the European Commission. So I think we can just start with learning about construction and applications for automatically hangar-based UAV observation network. Dr. Yue Huanyin, can you come to the stage, please?
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to give a presentation. The topic is construction and applications for automatic hangar-based UAV observation network. I come from the Institute of Geographic Sciences and Natural Resources Research, Chinese Academy of Sciences. Okay, my speech have 4 parts. The first, the background, the framework of UAV observation network and applications like the considerations on UAV in GEO. And we all know in recent years, UAV remote sensing has been widely used in many fields, such as urban management, ecological environment monitoring, regional dynamic monitoring, emergency response to sudden natural disasters, and so on. By the virtue of flexibility, quick response, and high precision in low cost, unrestricted by terrain, UAV remote sensing have partly meet the requirement in above field for fast centimeter precision and geospatial information requirement. So in the past 10 years, UAV remote sensing has increased rapidly. Generally, the UAVs need to be carried to the intended location, controlled manually. The taking off and landing, the data transmission, and trading batteries. The disadvantage to single or several UAVs remote sensing is absolutely. It's relying on manual operation, highly skilled for the operator, and low inspection efficiency. And it's difficult to achieve the large coverage and simultaneous observation and achieve the timely response at any location. So as recently, the UAV remote sensing technology has tried at networking, from single UAV to large-scale network and autonomously unmanned operation without a UAV pilot in the field watching. In order to meet the demand on providing UAV remote sensing data with simultaneously wide coverage and centimeter level accuracy, the UAV observation network has become the only means to simultaneously provide centimeter precision remote sensing data and achieve extensive coverage. The technology of UAV automatic hangar makes the construction and deploying of UAV observation network possible. The hangar is a highly integrated, fully automated unmanned operation platform designed for UAV parking and automated operation. It provides reliable support for UAV automation in takeoff and landing, battery charging, environment monitoring, and remote control, ensuring the long-term stable operation of UAVs. Hangars play a crucial role in the UAV automation and intelligence operations. And based on the various automatic hangars, the technology of automatic hangar-based UAV observation network is our major work in recent years. It consists of various UAV remote sensing systems, the hangars, and the central control system. We have deployed more than 1,000 hangars in China and provide services for several fields as urban management, environment monitoring, power line inspection, transportation, and so on. Automatic hangar-based UAV observation network has some advantages like high frequency and wide area coverage, multi-type, high precision data collection, remote control and real-time data transmission and analysis, rapid response capability, and low cost, and wide applications. The second part. And generally, the UAV observation network has three major parts. First, the hangars for UAV storage, taking off and landing, charging, and power exchange. Second, the UAV plus payload is a flight platform and data acquisition. Third, the central control system serves as the creation and assurance of missions, real-time monitoring of UAV operations, data processing and analysis. The network is also integrated with the ground-based Internet of Things, realizing air-ground synergy and three-dimension monitoring. At the Yale Group, we combine the automatic hangar and UAVs. We developed 4 types of UAV stations. Oh, no. Okay. We include lightweight UAV station and a multi-function UAV station, a long endurance and carrier type UAV stations. The first is the multi-function UAV stations, and we empowering DJI M350 drones adapted to severe environments and versatile payloads for full scene applications. And second, this long endurance UAV station, we empowering vertical takeoff and landing fixed wing UAV. The operation radius is more than 50 kilometers, supports solar powered system, automatic charging to UAV, and satellite communication links with at least 10 megabytes bandwidth. Okay, this is a video, just show. Oh, this is another long endurance UAV station, and it has the operating radius about 30 kilometers. Also, we have the carrier-based fixed wing UAV array networking station. The whole vehicle can be assembled with 5 fixed wing UAVs, and forming a network within 10 minutes. We also developed the Zhongke Skynet UAV cloud platform is a new generation UAV observation network operating system integrating UAV command and scheduling, mission planning, data management, and analysis application. This platform is now controlling more than 1,000 UAV stations we deployed in China. And also the Zhongke Skynet integrates UAV mission scheduling, controlling, and data processing is able to meet the needs of all aspects of UAV operation and applications. Okay, we use this network applied in several fields. First, the UAV observation network we constructed and being applied in the regular inspection of agriculture and rural area to promote the revitalization of agriculture and rural development. No. And also the safeguarding water ecosystem and informing emergency response decision making and mapping the land cover and land use. For the last part, I propose several considerations on UAV in geo framework. First, establishing the geo UAV observation network and including it as part of the geo infrastructure. And second, the collaborations on technical research and development, which include technology on UAV observation and the Hanger-based UAVs, and also on UAV data processing and applications. And now we are doing the IEEE standard formulation on UAV observation network. And I sincerely invite experts and entities who have interest to this work, to join this working group. And third, the UAV network application in GO include filling observation gaps that are not covered by satellite remote sensing and field observation, and serving decision-making need of local governments, in particular in developing countries, by supporting implementation of GO post-2025 strategy, the Earth Intelligence for all. So that's all for my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yue. Indeed, a very exciting presentation. And I just have to tell you one of the stories about, from the history of China, on how the emperor was actually checking the charge on precipitation measured by soil moisture. I wonder what the emperor would have said if they had seen the UAV technology that you presented, Yue. I think this is a major difference. So you described very good the challenges that we all understood, and it's very impressive what you have managed to build of a network and using modern technology to really have a network that almost all by itself, not completely, but almost by itself, will be operational. So this was a really exciting taste of what I hope you will then suggest as part of the coming GEO work plan. Thank you for that proposal. So the next coming up, we are going back to South Africa, or sorry, Latin America. I just worked in the mapping authority. So Mario Vargas Schakheim and Diana, please. We would like to hear about Indigenous Alliance experience on wildlife management. The floor is yours.
Una vez más, buenas tardes con todos. En esta ocasión voy a hacer presentación sobre el trabajo de monitoreo territorial en la Amazonía ecuatoriana.
Good afternoon, everyone. In this occasion, I will speak to you about a monitoring project in the Amazonian Ecuador.
En el año 2021, creé un grupo de jóvenes denominado monitores Ayumpum. Ayumpum es una ave que representa a la águila que defiende la naturaleza.
In 2021, I created a group of youth called the Ayumpum. Ayumpum in the indigenous Shuar mythology is an invisible eagle.
Entonces, esos jóvenes fueron compuestos de 7 hombres y 3 mujeres. Todos son de la nación Shuar, de una provincia amazónica que se llama Pastaza.
These youth, 7 are male and 3 are women, and they're all from the Shuar nation in a province called Pastaza.
Iniciamos dando clases sobre manejo de GPS y también lo que es un poco manejo de drone, también del SIG, de lo que es ODK, RTK. Son equipos para realizar trabajos territoriales en los pueblos indígenas.
So we started by doing capacity development. We've trained the youth in using GPS, drone, GIS, ODK, and RTK as well.
El objetivo de la capacitación es realizar una planificación territorial en los pueblos indígenas porque tenemos inconveniencias entre comunidades.
So the objective is to make our own maps of the territory because we are currently having challenges.
Entonces, para las comunidades es un poco de desconfianza de ver a personas de otro color, diría. Por lo tanto, el objetivo mío era preparar a los propios jóvenes y que ellos mismos puedan hacer sus propios mapas.
So in the communities, there is a lack of trust, so it becomes very hard for foreigners to come in and do the mapping. And that's why they wanted their own youth to have the knowledge to know how to make their own maps, and that's why they're making their own maps.
Luego de haber preparado, una de las compañeras pudo trabajar para una organización indígena que representa a todos los pueblos amazónicos en el Ecuador. Entonces, con el uso de drone pudimos captar el derrame de petróleo, la deforestación, la contaminación de aguas, como podemos mirar en este mapa.
With the images of the drones, we were able to capture oil spills, pollution, as you can see from these images, and water pollution as well.
Y como también esos jóvenes comenzaron a tomar los puntos para delimitar entre comunidades y entre nacionalidades.
And the youth as well started taking GPS points that would enable them to map their lands between different communities and as well their different indigenous nations.
Aquí, como podemos mirar, es la explotación minera dentro de la Amazonía. Son espacios donde no podemos llegar sin drones.
And you can see here how our land is being exploited, and these are places where we can only reach using drones.
Y aquí lo mismo ellos están haciendo la limitación de los linderos o límites intercomunitarios o entre nacionalidades.
So here again, you see the youth that they're making these boundaries between communities and between the different indigenous nations.
En esta imagen podemos ver la experiencia con una nacionalidad que se llama Waurani. Son los pueblos que todavía no están siendo parte de la civilización.
So here was a project that we did with the Waorani indigenous nations. who are in indigenous communities in the Ecuadorian Amazon that haven't had contact yet with civilization.
Y hay una provincia al sur que está siendo explotada por la parte minera, entonces podemos mirar este río que está súper contaminada en comparación del pasado.
And here it's another community that is being exploited by mining, and you can see how the water is polluted.
Muchas gracias por la atención a todos.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. What an inspiring story, and particularly to see how you again are engaging the youth in your work. So both training them and making meaningful work for the entire population. I found it also interesting, again, with my mapping authority background, to see that you basically are making your own cadastre there for the the indigenous nations. So good luck with the continuation, and we certainly hope that we can continue to have you in our community, geo community. Now, coming up, now we're going to India. That's safe. Rabi Sahu from the Indian Agricultural Research Institute. He will talk about UAV, IoT, and in situ. IoT, Internet of Things, yes. Rabi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Binte. Very good afternoon to all of you. And I must thank to Geo Secretariat for giving me the chance to share some of my experience on upscaling UAV to satellite remote sensing for precision agriculture. So today morning, we have been talking a lot on the in situ data protocols and also satellite data protocols. And you know what UAV stands for. And it is nothing but the interlinking the ground data with the satellite. It has its own challenges and limitations. And if you look at the precision agriculture, why we are talking nowadays precision agriculture, I think many countries, a lot of initiatives has been taken place to see how best we can capture the variability with respect to the soil, weather, and crop management to optimize our yield productions, sustainable yield indicators, and also sustainable development goals. And the purpose is down there, it's written profitability, environmental sustainability, and also for the next generation, green future. And if you look at the precision agriculture, we need to look at the plant as a smart crop or smart plant, how it can be smart with respect to the weather aberrations, with respect to constrained environment. Plants should survive and give you the yield what you are expecting. That's what we are trying to work with. That's what the genomics of phenomics research. And there again, we try to use UAV and satellite remote sensing. And second part is the precision agriculture, where we try to bring the precision starting from sowing to harvest. Again, how this sensor technology can be used for that purpose. And the left-hand side, all those are listed down there. Starting from the remote sensing from the ground to airborne to the satellite, and also ground IoT sensors and many other tools and techniques are mentioned over there. So keeping that in view in national level, we have a big network program on precision agriculture, trying to do soil health monitoring using all sensors and data analytics, crop health monitoring, making good decision support systems and variable rate technologies. As you move across the field, how you can go for the special variable of input applications, developing different robotics, of course, post-harvest quality and precision dairy and fishery, and also upscaling those technologies which is available there. And down there, you can see the 16 logos are there. They're all pan-India. Their establishment are there, and we are trying to see how those technologies, what I listed over there, how they're used for precision agriculture. And mostly we look at the rice, wheat, and some of those commercial crops, and also some of those plantation crops. And scale is starting from the lab conditions to control field conditions to the satellite level we are trying to work with. So the purpose is how UAV is going to play an important role. That's what the talk is today we are discussing about. So sensing from the lab to the field scale, you can see the kind of the sensors, what are available all over the world. There are many sensors, which is the lab conditions you have. There are many which you are trying on the other mobile platform, on the tractor itself, or the on the low-flying vehicles like UAVs, and also since last 3 days we have been talking of satellite platform. Many satellites, many sensors are there. And it has its own limitations. If you look at the in-situ data observations, you look at UAV, you have Earth observing satellites. There are pros and cons, and each has its own opportunities and challenges. How we can pull them together to see, to address some of those common goals, objectives, what we have, that's what the purpose is. How we can complement to each other. It's not that drone is going to work only, the satellite is going to work only. So we have to go together to see how best we can integrate all those technologies when you vary from a field to large scale. And that's what the discussion is today. And there, some of those are discussed the limitations, the challenges, what you have. For example, you look at a province, you can't fly UAV all through the province to go for crop monitoring. You may need lakhs of UAVs to fly through at a particular phenostates. That's what the challenge is. But you can look at the satellite data at a go, in no time you can get it. But you can't go to that minute scale and look at different optical data, the kind of limitations what you have with respect to weather conditions. So it has a pros and cons. One has to see how best we can pull them together to see the challenges what you have. And the journey what we have is 1969, first airborne remote sensing was happened in country. That's why the NASA celebrates 50 years plus celebrations of remote sensing. Coconut wilt disease, coconut plantation, everyone knows root wilt disease was detected by Ectacom camera. Everything was borrowed from outside, one from Russia, one from US. And now you can see we have a NASA average NG campaign where we have a flight and 100 kg payload of a most advanced sensor called hyperspectral sensor, average NG, and flying over the same place, again with the UAV, with the sensors of the hyperspectral sensor and capturing the data. That's what the technological transformation has been taking place over the years, how best minutely you can see the Earth and look at the processing for that purpose. This is what the science team, we have been working on airborne campaign in 2016, 18, and also from this October onwards, again, we are looking for how best we can use those technologies again to satellite. For that purpose, we are doing all those R&D, and many teams are involved here, including JPL, NASA also with this. So looking at the multi-sensing from the UAV, this is what the multispectral sensors, hyperspectral sensors, RGB sensors, thermal, and also LiDAR sensors are there. And you can look at previous speaker was talking most of those RGB sensors, how wonderfully the pictures are captured. And from those, it has its own limitations when you look at the multispectral. And beyond that, if at all you go, this is what the hyperspectral. So starting from a 3-band data to a 5-band data to a hundreds of thousands of data sets, what you have. So how best you can make the plant or the pixel more intelligent, more information is that depends on what kind of sensors you are looking for. Some of those applications, starting from the ground in the lab conditions, in the airborne and to the satellite. This is with respect to the soil fertility. Yesterday we were talking of variables, what we are talking of with respect to geos. So some of the variables is soil variable should be considered. That's what I say. Though there are challenges with respect to soil fertility, but we have a digital soil mapping concept which has come up very well, and we can see the multispectral satellite data to capture those digital soil mapping the way you want to. So you can see up there the kind of spectrum which is captured in the lab conditions using some of those sophisticated instruments, having around 2,000 plus channels at a go. And same time, you have an airborne campaign where we are 600 plus channels what you could see, and that intersensory evaluations we could see. Today morning, we had a number of sensors, GEOS symposium. The challenge remains is the scale, the resolutions, intersensor calibration. That's the key issue remains, and one should address that. And for that purpose, we should go for the intersensor calibrations when you go from the ground to the airborne to the satellite. And this is what the Hyperion data you are able to see down there. That's what the NASA satellite, EO1 satellite. And you can see the average NG in the same place. And we have a ground sensor, same spectrometer what we have there. So we are able to see the scalability, the kind of soil fertility predictions from the ground, a single pixel, to a few centimeter to few meter, the kind of predictability. The purpose of doing this is how the error propagation is going to happen from a single pixel, from a petri dish in the lab conditions to the satellite level in the palm conditions. Finally, of course, we have to go to the satellite level. So look at this is what the recent study, what we could do, the remote sensing or the fertility in the lab, in the field conditions. Same time, we have instrument on the back and go and collect the signals. Same time, we have a airborne flying with a hyperspectral sensors having around 200 plus channels, plus 600 channels from 400 to 2,500. Same time, we have Nmapper and Prisma from Italy, and we are able to capture the data, ground data, and do the weight chemistry, and gone for the prediction model for that purpose. You can see the signal, how it comes to. When you look at the ground, when you look at the airborne, when you look at the satellite, kind of the spectrum you are going to get, kind of the amplitude you are getting get, the kind of knowledge, the noise is what you have. One has to be very careful when you go for upscaling. And that's the purpose. We need to make it scale neutral. And you can look at the satellite data, starting from the lab conditions to the satellite data, the kind of number of bands what you have, how we can integrate them together, looking at some of those sensor functions, technologies, how to make it scale neutral. Irrespective of the sensor, irrespective of the platform, the prediction model should be same. And that's what the challenge remains is, that's how we should work for. This is one example what I am giving you over here is, this is a farm with a 500 hectare, where you are able to capture the data simply using interpolations, taking using GIS environment, and you have a digital soil mapping concept using European satellite data, 10-meter resolutions, and you have a airborne, the Nmapper Prisma data with 30-meter resolutions. You can see the predictability down there, the scale is almost even same. So that's what we should look at, and that's what we should see how Geo can work for that purpose with respect to the scalability, with respect to the protocol, what to be developed using the UAV for that purpose. So that's what with respect to soil, and you can see how the geo data, how this UAV data, the satellite data, can be captured to the mobile and come out with the knowledge and information for that purpose. This is what the geointelligence means by. So the digital soil mapping is done, and finally the advisory is done at what time, where, what kind of fertilizer to be applied, and what crop stands over there. Coming back to the crop, this is what again, on board, the edge computing is there. You have a ready to transform models. You can create a thematic product like this, which can be integrated together and go for the yield predictions. And this is what from the UAV you can do. This is from the satellite you can do with respect to a small scale in the around 500 hectare. And this is what the farmer's field scale you can do. So this is what the scalability, once you develop that protocols, then it can be scaled to that large scale. Then what are the implementations? Once you do these variable maps, that's what the color map you are able to see. Drone as a robot can go for variable applications where what to be applied for that purpose. This is what IoT, this is what the 5G technology can be taken up. That can work as a captive network. Wherever you don't have network connectivity, you have IoT sensors over there, then it can be capture those variabilities on your computer itself and go for the applications where what is required. You can have swarm drones all over and go for the monitoring and the real time. That's what we are talking of, edge computing on the satellite. Before going over there, we should see edge computing on the drone so that real time we can get the predictions. Thank you very much for patience hearing. I'll be happy to reply.
So now one of my favorite words can cover your speak, your talk, and that's interoperability. I mean, you were talking really about interoperability between in situ data, UAV, and satellite data. And this is something that is a continuous challenge for us. And the way I see it is that the UAV can actually be helping us with interoperability. So I have questions for you at the end. But now I would like to invite Daniele Ehrlich, and he is going to talk about, from the European Commission, he's going to talk about the usage of UAVs and aerial photography for emergency management. The floor is yours.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Daniele Ehrlich from the European Commission, and yeah, I will present some of our use of UAVs in an operational service. So this is the Copernicus Emergency Mapping Service of the Commission. The service was set up to serve European users, civil protection mainly, but it's now extended for also users around the world. So you will see some examples. This service started about 12 years ago, and it was relying mostly on satellite imagery. But then after 2 years, we realized that, 10 years ago, we realized that you had to task when an emergency happened, a disaster happened, you had to task a satellite to acquire imagery of a certain area. But the response was not, the satellite was not passing always, there was clouds, there was difficulties. So 2 years ago, they started to a new complementary service, which is the risk recovery mapping, which relies on air photography and based on piloted and unmanned vehicles, so UAVs. This provides the timely information that satellites just could not provide. How does it fit into the broad picture? Well, satellite images, especially the maps produced from the archives, still helps in identifying roughly the area that was affected, the population estimation. You can make population estimation roughly, and also how many built up areas, settlements are there. But that helps them to identify the area that needs to be covered by aerial photography through piloted and unmanned vehicles. Piloted missions usually cover larger areas. Unmanned missions usually cover relatively smaller areas. So this is a little bit what I'm showing here is the map of the stations from where we have 140 stations of pilots that are ready to be deployed whenever something happens. For some of these pilots around Europe, they can be deployed and deliver a flight within 24 hours. Of course, this is Europe, so we have agreements to fly over, and it may not be applying to other parts of the world in case that needs to, an emergency happens and you need to fly over. But that's just an example. Then this unmanned component usually provides also DM, which are very, very important. 3D points to clouds, and this that produce 3D clouds and digital surface models. And piloted, the more larger aircrafts can produce also lighter data. So it's an extremely important service. You will see now why. So how does it this recovery mapping fit? You have in the cycle of the crisis cycle. Of course, it does not always fit in the early warnings, but it definitely is deployed to assess the impact of a hazard, and is deployed mostly for emergency response and in rapid assessment. So on the top pictures, you see the products that are derived from the global data set and service, while the three bottom picture are the examples of products derived from these unmanned and piloted vehicles. I go a little bit in more in detail in a second, just to say that that we are not only covering this service doesn't provide only outlines of the damage, but also can be deployed to provide imagery in areas that have a risk, have a high risk, so they can, and this is a high resolution imagery. So just a few examples. You can see it's a very detailed mapping. This is done with unmapping unmanned vehicle. And this is type of the product. You see also legend, how it is delivered to the user. So you have a map on PDF with the legend on what is written, what are the many elements of the image. But it's not only the map, it's also other information that I will tell you in a second. This is just to illustrate how detailed you can go in mapping even small, very, very small landslides, like in this case, in this activation case in Italy. And the civil protection organization of Europe make heavy use of this service. Oops, does it work? Yeah. So this is a second example that simulates a dam break. So they have created a digital service model, and then they have done the model and what would happen if that dam on the left, top left would break. And so this is type of also preparedness and measures that are done by this service. This is another example that of an activation for fire damage. That is often the case in Europe now, occurring more and more, and for which the emergency mapping service is activated. You see the map with different colors. It is the different intensities of the damage of the forest. So here shows also a little bit, describes the type of products that are delivered from this service. So you get vector data, with attributes. You get raster data for what refers to the satellite images. Then you get also a report. You get the printable maps and also other online deliverables. You have also a viewer on the web and often also dashboard with statistics that summarize the outcome of the event. I wanted also to show this example, which is not in Europe, just to give you an example that it's not only activated for Europe, but it's also activated outside of Europe. And this is a screenshot also of how the data are delivered and how the data could be accessed. These are data that can be accessed, and this is for the Joe community here, for this workshop. So every activation has a link, like listed there. You click and you download the data, whatever the data are made available. And now there are hundreds of activations like that, for which there are maps and damage data available. But how does but now the important thing is to tell you is that there are a lot of data there, sitting there, damage data that at this moment are not used except for the moment in which they have been used. How is this service working for whom? So the civil protection in Europe are the authorized user that they always can trigger, but there are also associate users that can link with the authorized user to get a request for a service. Then what happens is that the Copernicus emergency mapping service tasks a company to do all the work. They task the satellites, the company that flies the UAVs and so on. The products are generated and then sent to the user, and then saved on the web as I have shown. For the people that, there are always questions, how can I activate this? Well, if you are usually for outside of Europe, you have the United Nations agency that can activate, or there are government agency within the countries that can activate this service. This is what I wanted to tell you, and this is a summary I think I just read over. This is the link to the service to which you can access and to which you can get information of the service. And I maybe save a little bit of time maybe for questions. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it's very impressive to see the capacity that the Copernicus services are providing in cases of emergency. It's also interesting to see that that this service can be activated through international agreements. Again, I think you described that you have not only you have different instruments that you are using, so you can also use the instrumentation on your UAVs, but drones, but also activate lidars. So this is an interesting case, and I'm sure this will be interesting for us in the data and knowledge working group to explore further. Now we are coming to the question discussion part. And I will use the privilege of being a moderator to ask Robbie, if you were, when you were discussing interoperability, did you have, how did you handle, oh, let me put it this way. We have, you know, when you have a satellite mission, and you replace it with a new one, there is not necessarily the same kind of resolution, etc. So you have to, when you're making long time series, you need to decide, you know, where in, if you have this kind of resolution in one and then suddenly smaller, higher resolution, where do you place it? That's a typical situation when you have a series of satellites. Is this something that you learned from, or do you learn from scratch when you are doing, in situ measurements, UAV, and then satellite? Have you seen a connection? Because I think India has actually several satellite missions, right?
So, yeah. So when you see interpolability with respect to satellite, one satellite to another satellite, the resolution changes with respect to spectral and also radiometric and also spatial.
Yes.
So the kind of SOP what you follow there, exactly same thing we need to follow up also with the UAV sensors.
Yes.
So today morning, the kind of deliberations what we had with respect to open data policy, the interpolability, like FAIR we are talking of, same is going to be applicable for the drone data. But one must remember, when you talk of the satellite, it is open data.
Yeah.
It doesn't have restrictions. But when you have a high resolution data, you have restrictions.
Yes.
And when you have a drone flying in the low altitude, always there is a Director General of Civil Aviations. Each country, each county has their own restrictions. Of course, so that's the reason why I'm saying the geo platform has to come out with a policy to see how best we can leverage it to make it an open data policy. So when you talk of, for example, you talk of multispectral data, from the UAV to the satellite, always we should go for the calibration and also validation. Unless until we do that, that's meaningless. Second is always the UAV data is going to be a ground truth data for the satellite. Anything you want to do at the satellite at a large scale, always we should look at the UAV data to see how wonderfully it is working. So that's what it should be able to complement. I think I could answer to some extent.
Yes. Thank you very much. Please don't be shy now. Yes, there's a question over in the middle and on the upper half. And also a second.
Afternoon, I am Chiscom Papori from South Africa, Eskom, which is a power utility company. My question is, I will direct it to our colleague from China who presented the use of a UAV on land inspection. I would like to know if he has done the UAV land inspection on live line, and what was the electromagnetic, how did the UAV behave in terms of live line power electromagnetic interference? And secondly, I would like to know if you have classified which UAVs can be used on live line power line inspection. So the third one is with regard to the data management. How do you handle the huge amount of data management as you fly the power line for inspection? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. And just in my presentation, I said this system is automatic, and we can use the hangars to store the UAV. The UAV can carry different payloads. So we will deploy this system in different areas. And for example, in an area about 100 kilometers square, and we can deploy about 10 devices. We use these devices, and according to the requirement, for example, the land use and land cover, and we use different vehicle and different with different payloads to do the remote sensing. I think according to your requirement, we can deploy the different devices and different payloads in different area. So, for example, in China, we have used this system in many applications. For example, the land use, for example, the urban management, the urban monitoring, and also the transportation, for example, the high-speed railway monitoring in different provinces. So I'm not sure if I answer your question clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You can continue also the discussion in the coffee break, I'm sure. Just a reminder before, yeah, I saw the next question. Just a reminder, please answer the survey. It's not so demanding as it might look on the phone. Please answer our surveys. It's very useful for the data and knowledge working group. Yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. James Thornton from the Mountain Research Initiative in Geo Mountains. I have a question for Daniele. Thank you for the presentation. It's very impressive to provide this post-event hazard data for such a range of different types of events. You mentioned that you also generate risk estimates. So I assume that therefore you have some vulnerability function to translate the hazard intensity into some damage. I was wondering how you develop these and if they're associated with high amount of uncertainty. Thank you.
So these are typical requests done by the civil protection agencies and not by scientists. But I'm sure that the services, the products that are provided, have all the scientific requirements that we are referring to. This is a little bit outside of my area of competence, so I will have to refer you to my colleagues. But I'm sure that the scientific requirements are there.
Thank you. Any more questions? I can follow up while you are thinking, and don't think too long. Daniela, you gather a lot of data. Do you know, in Geo, we have this preservation and curation management principles. Are there anybody who are reprocessing the data and reusing it in other applications and other disciplines?
So there are several discussions on how to do that, and but I think the process of discussing to really make use of it now, there are such a list of data sets has just started. So I will refer you back to the people involved to address this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Paola De Salvo, I would like to ask to all of you, up to you to choose. We see that sometimes we do lack in situ data for different domains, let's say agriculture. Can drones be used to fill that gap? How different would be the information we would get from drones with respect to agriculture, for example, and the advantages of flying drones with respect to collect in situ data and the fact that we can repeat this over time and over time. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. My last slide, because of the time, I just lost two. So in the drone, we have an IB network in box, which is 5G capable. And so it flies over the area where you don't have a good network, and you have IoT sensors all around there, collecting the soil moisture data. So within no time, you get all the data captured onto your laptop, but collected. So you fly across maybe 8 kilometers. Wherever you fly, 20-meter, 30-meter radius, you have the capture network. All the sensors data within no time you got it. So this is what the initiative, what we have taken of 5G, 6G. This is one. Second is, like I was talking of average NG campaign. So you have an average NG at 3 kilometer to 8 kilometer height. Same time, you have a drone flying around 30-meter height with the same sensor we have on the ground, and we have a satellite Prisma or Nmapper. Try to go for the fallibility, once it is success, then that becomes like the product I could show you, like a live product, a chlorophyll product, a nitrogen product. Once the product is good, reliable, no more you need to go for the ground truth ovoid chemistry. That product can be used for validating in the satellite or the regional scale, so that can be used for the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I might, I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
As we're moving up to the youth session, and the use of unmanned vehicles is new and old technology, but it's also still very new. So should GEO, in the framework of Earth Intelligence for All, should be also thinking of enhancing the usage of this technology and thinking about enhancing the capacity building in different communities, like Mario was showing in the indigenous communities, to the youth at different level. Should this be an action that could be envisaged probably to start with the youth community?
Yes, Mario, do you have a comment to that?
Yo creo que sí es fundamental que yo tome en cuenta para la juventud, sobre todo a los amazónicos, no solamente hablando de Ecuador, sino de toda la región que corresponde a la gran cuenca amazónica, de mirar que los jóvenes necesitan lo que es el tema de la educación y también aprovechar de la era digital.
Absolutely. I think it's critical for GEO to take in consideration the youth, and not just in the Ecuadorian Amazon, but in all the Amazon basin, all the countries from the Amazon basin, and also to take advantage of the digital area that we're now living in.
So Mario, I was going to ask you also, Paula, you sort of beat me to it a bit, but I was wondering, how hard has it been to engage the youth in learning about this new technology, which I presume is a little bit strange to your culture? Has it been hard or easy?
Yo tengo una experiencia personal. Para mí sí fue un poco difícil, pero para la nueva generación con el grupo que he estado trabajando, ellos han podido captar, creo que es porque son jóvenes todavía. Entonces, eso nos da seguridad de poder aprovechar y poder prepararles en diferentes áreas relacionadas a la naturaleza.
I can speak from my own personal experience, and for me it was quite hard, but for the younger generation, it has been pretty easy, and that gives them the security that they can take advantage of this technology for climate action.
Yes, thank you. And then Ravi, yes?
Can I complement the question you asked to? Like in India, we have a new education policy. We have 600 plus startups, young startups who has taken up drone as a business. And we have a drone robotics and machine learning lab where starting from making drone to fly to data analytics, they try to learn, they can be entrepreneur, right? They can have their own business. Youth is always excited for the new technology, and this is what is available. So I say yes.
Yeah. What is, yeah. Okay, so we draw the line there, and I would like to conclude with just saying, wow. I mean, this was absolutely fascinating, and I'm so optimistic for us in the data working group. And I will just from my heart, invite you and your communities to engage with us in the data and knowledge working group. You have so much to offer, and we are so eager to learn, and we have so much fun. So please join us. Thank you.